Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Brian and I'm back again with another video. Thanks for joining us on Harley Scoots and Cowboy Boots. I'm over here at my favorite breakfast place picking up a couple of breakfast sandwiches. Don't tell Tracy. Shh. They're not keto breakfast sandwiches. Anyway, I wanted to do a video today called The Tale of the Two Dyno Sheets. But it's actually 3 dyno sheets, so I'm just going to call it The Tale of the Dyno Sheets. Anyway, I'm gonna, just talk a little bit about the experience that I had, from the initial 128 build with Powell Performance Customs up in North Reading. The dyno sheet, I'm going to show you the dyno sheet they gave me and they thought that I would be happy with. And then I had a second guy dyno it, said he could do Thunder Max. Seemed to run fine, but I wasn't 100% happy with it. So I ended up bringing it over to Danny Mars over at Cycle Services in Hyannis, Mass. And, he agreed that he would take it in and check it out 100% and make sure it was ready to tune and then do a dyno tune on it with the techno research. So, yeah, I mean, it's night and day. So let me get home and eat these breakfast sandwiches before they get cold, and we will come back and continue having this discussion. All right, I'll see you in a bit. All right, so oh man, those sandwiches are good. I love that place. So anyway, as you can tell, I'm driving again. I got a bunch of errands to do today, so gonna try to do the most of this video while I'm driving around. Hope you guys don't mind, but it's raining today. We got 1 week from tomorrow morning. We'll be heading out to Daytona. So really looking forward to that. And today we're gonna do I'm gonna prepare a prime rib for dinner. And I'm on my way to go get it right now. So I'm gonna talk to you guys in the meantime, and we're gonna continue our discussion about the tuning and the dyno sheets. But so we had the build done back in October, and I had the dyno sheet from the original builder, which, I just wasn't happy with. They came out, they threw the sheet down on the desk. It was late. There's a whole story behind it that I'll go into, but it was 116 horsepower and 137 foot-pounds of torque or something like that, which isn't bad. It's not bad. But, I knew what a stage 3 bike was doing at the time. I knew that a stage 3 128 bike should be putting out around 130 horsepower, give or take, a couple of horsepower, and well over 145 foot-pounds of torque. So, especially, with the 475 cam, I mean, I did a ton of research. I wasn't happy. I took the bike. The next day, we took it up to go riding in New Hampshire, fired it up. The lifter failed on it. Started racketing it, making all kinds of racket with the noisy lifter. Didn't end up riding that whole weekend. It was my birthday weekend. It turned into a nightmare. So needless to say, I wasn't too happy with that. Took it back home. A couple of days later, I couldn't go back there. I couldn't go back to that place, Powell Performance Customs. They really, screwed me over. Just a really, really bad experience. So I searched and searched for somebody that could tune with a Thunder Max, and that was my main problem with the Thunder Max, is finding somebody that could tune it, for real, And I mean, anybody can log into it with a computer, hit run auto tune, and it pretty much does it itself. But I found a guy in New Hampshire. He was, you know, I called him up. People had recommended him on Facebook, you know, that he was a good tuner, this and that. Place called Seacoast Choppers up in Hampton, New Hampshire. You know, we're up in that area all the time anyway. That's where we like to stay when we ride up there. So brought it up to him. You know, he wanted to keep it for 3 days. You know, it's fine. Dropped it off. Went back up a few days later, pick up on a Saturday. You know, I thought it was really odd. He never gave me a dyno sheet, you know. Gave him the money. Told me, you know, cash only, you know, this and that. And told me what it made for numbers, but never gave me a dyno sheet. Told me it was, you know, 120, you know, 123 horse, 140. So I don't know. I'll put the dyno sheet up there. I got it at the house. It's been so long. So either way, he's like, oh yeah, you know, there was a torque dip in it. I couldn't tune it out like I thought I could, you know, it must be, you know, the cam, whatever. Come to find out, he really wasn't all that familiar with M8s. You know, I wish I had said something, you know, ahead of time that he wasn't. So, but it ran fine. So we took it, we rode it. Like I said before, I think we put close to 4,000 miles on it before I decided that I just was not happy. Wasn't 100% happy with it. I bring it. I go over, I talk to Dan Maz over at Cycle Services before Thanksgiving. And, you know, he's like, you know, I didn't do the build, so I can't guarantee anything. And I'm like, no, I understand that, but I just don't think it's running right. And I told him what the dyno numbers were. He's like, you know, those aren't bad numbers, you know, but it looks a little strange. So he said he'd take a look at it. So he has it a couple of weeks, calls me up, or the first few days he calls me up, and he says, yeah, we found one main issue is it has an intake manifold leak. Pretty nasty one. So I'm like, really? I'm like, you know, the original place didn't catch that. The second tuner didn't catch that. And he's like, yeah. He's like, it was pinging pretty bad and just wasn't tuned properly. It's hard to tune it, you know, if it has an intake leak. He's like, we can fix that. We'll go through the rest of the bike, make sure it's ready for the dyno. You know, he doesn't want to blow anything up. Calls me back a few days later, you know. He's like, yeah, everything's good to go. We fixed the intake leak. We're going to get it on the dyno, then, you know, as soon as the weather warms up. It was, you know, it was like 30 degrees at the time. So a decent day comes up. He calls me and he's like, yeah, it's all set. He's like, I was super impressed with it. You know, it runs great. He's like, I'm loving that 475 cam in that build. He didn't have much experience with the 475 cam. He had been using T-Man cams in a lot of his builds. So he's like, it's ready to pick up. I pick it up, I go there, he hands me the dyno sheet. He's like, here it is, you know, 130 horsepower and 151 foot-pounds of torque, you know. And I was like, wow, that is great. No dip, no torque dip at all. And yeah, so I guess the moral of the story here is, you know, you really got to be careful, you know, with your tuner. You know, I didn't know. The first guy was recommended to me by a friend of mine that lives in New Hampshire. And, you know, it bit me in the ass. I should have stayed local and gone with Dan. I knew he did a really good job. But, and I listened to a friend of mine, ended up really paying the price. So, yeah, that's the moral of the story. You know, make sure you got a good dyno tuner, you know, and make sure you go with the tuning system or software that your guy has. You know what I mean? I already had the Thundermax, so I was trying to save a buck. You know, I mean, the thing was $900, so I was trying to save a buck by sticking with it, and that was probably my first mistake, other than going with Power Performance Customs. Man, I got a whole nother video I can make on them. You guys probably be surprised at what I have to say about that. But yeah, that's about it. I'll post up these dyno sheets. You're probably going to be like, what the hell, you know? How could they let the bike leave the shop like that? Yeah, that's what I said. Besides, there was a whole other slew of things that were wrong with the bike when I picked it up, but I won't go into that on this video. So anyway, that's about it. I'm gonna go grab my prime rib and head home and prepare it. Looking forward to a nice dinner. One more week till Daytona. Man, I can't wait to get out of here. This weather is really killing me. But maybe I'll see you guys down there. All right, have a good one.